So here's where it all gets pretty. This is when wine becomes wine, I guess,
Yep.
From juice to wine. It goes through the fermentation process. Eventually it ends up here. When does it end up here? What happens to get here?
So with reds, as soon as the ferment's finished, in the sort of the open fermenters that I was referring to,
Right.
and we'll press it out. So take it away the skins, and we've just got the wine left behind. And at that point, we'll try and drop it into oak.
Okay. And we're looking at the oak barrel. Always oak? Always aged in oak? That's
Always
generally the
oak,
thing?
always white oak, yeah.
Always white oak.
Like we'll get the oak from we primarily get oak from France and America, but we're actually here at Strewn. We're big believers in Canadian oak as well.
Okay. Yeah, because I've talked to people that you hear French oak, you hear American oak, sometimes even right down to the region of
Yep.
where they got
Oh
it.
yeah, best believe.
And the oak, is this like, is it fresh oak, or has there been whiskey in this ever before, or
No,
anything like that?
all
or?
Fresh oak.
All fresh oak.
Yeah.
Okay. And what's the lifespan on something like this? How many years can you use the same barrel over and over again?
That's real winemaker to winemaker. Me personally, I love old oak, especially with things like Merlot
Okay.
or Pinot. Not that I make Pinot here, but when I did, I loved using old oak for it. So some of the times it'd be 10-year-old barrels. Try and give it sort of a real earthy, old world sort of aspect to it.
Right. So when you have wine that's unoaked, then what is it been stored in? What's the
Generally, some of those stainless steel
just
tanks.
stainless steel?
Yep.
Right into the bottle, straight to the store.
Exactly right.
Wow.
Yep.
Now, I'm really, I'll get a close-up of this in a minute, but I've got, there's names on these barrels, and it's not always the same name. So here we have Bob and Nancy Cooper, 2009 vintage. How'd they get so lucky? Do they own this whole barrel of wine? What's the story?
They actually own the barrel. So we've got a great, barrel club concept here. So people can actually buy into a barrel, and
Really?
the price is dependent on whether it's American or whether it's French or whether it's Canadian, and they'll basically pony up to purchase the barrel, and during a period of time they can collect wine from the retail here, and after X period of time, like 2 or 3 years.
So it's it's a wine investment.
It is.
Okay.
But the beauty is that whilst we're holding the barrel and we're using it for wine and stuff, if they want to come visit their barrel, they come visit it. They'll call ahead. They'll come down. They'll bring their friends, take photos, posing next to the barrel, sample from the barrel. The wine in it we'll use for wine. But once it's actually empty, if they want to call up and say, look, I've been hankering to have a barrel sitting in my lounge room all my life. Once it's empty and we're done, they can come and pick up their barrel that they've bought and take it home and knock themselves silly.
So they buy the barrel, but they don't get it for a while until you're done using it, is basically it. And they also get some wine on top of that.
Exactly.
That's pretty cool.
It
and
is.
There's a number. How many do you have in your people's names on it? Because I was poking around, and there's lots of them.
We've got about 550 barrels here at Strewn, and pretty much all of them have belonged to someone.
Someone's adopted the barrel.
Yes.
Like adopt a highway.
Yep.
But it's for wine.
But you get the wine.
I love
yeah.
this. That's great. Price tag on one of these puppies?
For a yank barrel, you're looking at around sort of 400 bones.
Wow. So quick math. Do that times 500 barrels in the shop, and it's pretty investment, eh?
Well, you look at something like French barrels, you could be looking up to $1,000.
Wow.
Yeah. Canadian oak sitting at the moment around 850.
How many bottles in a barrel anyway?
300.
300.
225 litres, 300 bottles.
Nice.
Yep.
And
I know, that's a big night.
The stopper here, so it's not. Yeah, it is a big night, man. For an Australian, though, I
Yeah,
don't know.
wow.
You guys can hold
If
it
it was
pretty
beer,
well.
I'd be.
You guys got the stoppers up here now. You take the stopper, you sample it. Does that affect anything with the wine? The air getting in, anything like that?
The air does get in, but these go through a bit of a micro-ox, what we call a micro-oxidation process anyway. So the wood actually sort of does allow sort of breathing to happen, and over a period of time, you'll actually find that your level of wine in your barrel actually does drop.
Right.
And that's actually referred to as the angel's share.
Yeah, because the angels are coming along, taking a little drink.
And having a bit of a sip at night, as you do. And so every now and then, once every couple of months, we'll actually come and top up all our barrels just to make sure that, we fill up that angel's share, and so when they come and have another drink.
This is holding what? This particular barrel right now?
What
type of wine is it?
This one is holding
it's
some
right there.
Chardonnay. Yep.
Chardonnay.
So some barrel-aged Chardonnay.
It says Chardonnay, April 30th, 2013. That means it was put into the barrel on April 30th, 2013.
Yep.
And your best guess as the winemaker, so, well, not your guess, but when are you going to pull it out of the barrel?
This will probably come out, it'll probably stay in for probably around 6 months on average.
Okay.
Yeah.
And longer for reds, generally?
Longer for reds generally, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And that'll also be, dependent on the vintage. For something like, the 2012s, we've got an oak at the moment, they, would stay in oak longer than, say, some of the 09s reds or some of the 2011 reds even.
When you pull the stopper out, this particular section is getting quite long, but it's a lot of fun. When you pull the stopper out, you take a taste of the wine. Do you ever go, oh man, it's not what it like? There's got to be some stress here, right?
Oh, you
like,
best believe.
Because you're trying to make something that you want it to taste like this.
Yep.
What happens? Is it just because Mother Nature or whatever? You're like, okay, this year it's not going to turn out that way.
One of the beauties of making wine, especially using barrels, is that barrel to barrel, the same wine dropped into 10 different barrels is going to have differences left, right, and center.
Okay.
And the beauty is trying to find, the barrels which marry together perfectly. And that I love blending. I love blending wines. I'm a huge fan of it. And part of the fun of blending with barrels is trying to find, yes, okay, these 3 barrels individually taste great. Let's see how they, how they play together. Okay. And you can blend barrels that are fantastic on their own, put them together, and it's like, yeah, this is not working out.
Sorry, go ahead, Mark.
Yeah, so it's really just trying to find that perfect marriage, and work out the best blend that you can.
Are there rules about that? Can you call something a vintage if you've blended it or whatever? Like, what are the rules on the label?
There's a lot of rules and regs with making wine, VQA wine here in Ontario.
Okay.
And part of the section of the legislation and regs is to do with vintage, and just say you're making a 2011 wine. A portion of that has to be from that vintage. You can blend in actually some what they call off vintage, up to say 15%. But there's a rule that says if you want to call it 2011 and you have 2011 on the label, then 85% or more has to actually be from 2011.
Okay. So there are rules. So when someone's looking at it, they know they're not getting scammed.
Exactly.
Half of this could be from wherever.
Exactly. No. And the rules are very strict. And it really is a way of making sure that we make the best quality wines here that we can.
Great. Let's go out and take a look at the vineyard really quick before we get carried off by the flies. But
Yep.
thanks for showing us this, and good luck to Barb and Nancy Cooper.
Yep.
You made a great purchase.